Okay. So today we'll see how to create a table using an array of objects. Okay. So let me show you in Paint one thing. So how will our data look like? Our table look like? It will be something like this. So let's say we have these things. So these are the rows, and we'll have divisions like this. Okay. So now these things, what it is called, these three will be the headings, right? So these three headings are fixed. I mean, here how many headings we'll have? We'll have 1 2 3 4 5 6. Five headings will be there. First name will be there for everyone, last name will be there for everyone. So we will have the headings fixed. So again, the headings is also not dependent on this data. Okay, we can directly set it as some value. Okay, but these rows will be created according to the data. In the rows, whatever data is there, that will be according to this array of objects. So you have to loop through the array of objects and create these cells, row cells. Okay. Okay, so that's what I wanted to tell you. So for that, what I'll do is, so that's why I'm creating this table outside of the loop, because that doesn't have anything related to the array of objects. Okay, so where table I have created, after table what I have to create, where, so I'll name it as t head. Okay, t head is equal to document dot create element of one tr. That will be a tr actually. Okay, and after that, inside the tr we will have th, isn't it? So how many th we need? 1 2 3 4 5 6. 6 th we need. So where th1 is equal to, so we have created a tr. Okay, now we can create the th. Okay, so document dot create element of th1. Okay, then th1 dot inner html will be equal to what is the first heading? That is first name. So let me write something like this, first name. Then in the same way, we have to create all these things for 6 times. One, two, three, four, five. So one more. So th2. So here I should not write th1. Should be th, isn't it? There is no element known as th1. There is only th. So 6 th are ready. Just need to rename them. th2, th3, th3. And here instead of first name it will be last name. Then we have age. Then we have th4. In th4 what will be there?
Gender.
Gender. Then th5. th5 dot inner html will be city. And lastly th6. th6 will have in HTML as salary. Okay, fine. We have the table element, we have the tr element, that is for the t head. Then we have th1, th2, th3, th4, th5, th6. Now we can append all these things into t head, isn't it? Into this tr we have to put all these things. So what I will write, t head dot append the child and child of what, th1. So this thing I have to repeat it for 6 times. So 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, this line is not needed. So append child of th1, th2, th3, th4, th5 and th6. So all the cells have gone into t head. Now this t head we have to put into table. Okay, so let me write something like this. So this part is one thing. This part is only for the table and t head element. This part is for the cell data. Then this part is for appending the cell to t head. Now table dot append child of t head. Okay, but still now it will not be visible because we have put everything to table, but we have not put the table into d1, right, in our document. So this will not be displayed. If you see this, I have put everything, but it will not show anything. Okay, so for that we have to put everything to table, that is okay, but we have to now put the table into d1. So what is this table having? This table is having only one row, that is the heading row, and which is having this data. Other data we have not filled, so other data is not there. Okay, so after table dot append child of head, what I will do is I'll append this to d1. So how to get the d1? This thing we have to use the document.getElement. So where, what is that? So we can create this where at the top. Okay, at the top what I can do is where main div. Okay, where main div is equal to document dot get element by id of what, d1. Document dot get element by id of d1. Okay, now inside this div, main div, we have to append the table. So main div dot append the child of what, table. Okay, so now save this, go to the browser, reload. We got this. Okay, now there is no border, we can apply the border as well. So how do I apply the border? So if it is a directly a tag here, then we can apply the border directly. But how to do this? So table dot set attribute of border comma 1. If I do this, I'm getting the border, so that's fine. Okay, so what is this doing? In the table element we write border equal to 1. So border is an attribute, so that's why I'm writing set attribute. Table dot set attribute So now set attribute is asking which attribute you want to add. So I said I want to add the border attribute. Then again the set attribute is asking me to the border attribute what value you want to put. I said 1. So we write like this, border comma 1. So it takes two things. First thing is what is the attribute name. Second thing is what is the value. Okay. So let's say we have another attribute like anchor tags we have. A, we write href is equal to wikipedia.com. So here we will write href. Here we will write wikipedia.com. Okay. Anchor tag a dot set attribute of href comma wikipedia.com, and this attribute name should be always in double quote. That means it should be a string. Okay, fine. Now our empty table is ready. Now we have to use this data to fill up the other data. Okay, fine. Now let's start. So what we'll do further, we have to loop through this array of objects. Okay, so I'll use the for each method. So from here I'll start. So people dot for each. So for each, what is for each? I mean, wait. So people dot for each. So for each object, what I have to create? I have to create one tr. That means one row. For every object, one row should be there. Inside the row, all cells will be there. Okay, that is what I have to make. So the same things what we did here while creating the row, these things only we have to copy and paste it. So from here we created, see here we created the tr. From here then we created th. So instead of th we'll be creating td. Okay, and then we'll append the td to our tr, whatever tr we create now. Okay, and then we'll append it to table. So these things we'll see, but up to here it is mandatory, isn't it? The row should be created like this. This is not related to the row. So up to here, and then main div dot append child of table, this thing we can do later on also. So up to here it is mandatory for each row. Each row, what I have to do, each row I have to first create each row, then I have to create each cell, then I have to put the value using inner HTML, and then I have to do head dot append child, because this tr we have to, inside the tr we will put tds, and then in the table we have to put the row. This is the same thing, and in the main div we'll put the table. So this is secondary thing, forget about this part. So up to here it is mandatory. So I'll just copy this part and I'll just rename it. Just see. So in the for each, first I'll create one t row. Okay, where t row is equal to document dot create element of tr, and I'll name it as td1. So td1 will be what? For the first object, for the first time, first iteration, td1 will be first name Praveen. td1 will be Praveen, td2 will be Gubala, td3 will be 36, td4 will be male, td5 will be Hyderabad, td6 will be 10,000. Again for the next loop, td1 will be Srikant, td2 will be Gubala, like that. Okay, so these are all td1, Pradeep, Monica, Nikhil, these are all td1, because they will come below this first name. So they are all td1 of each row. Okay. So I have created the tr. Now I'll create the td. td1 dot inner html will be equal to what? So in the for each, we have to pass each person, isn't it? Each person means each person object. What is each person object? This is one person object. Okay, so if this is person, then Nikhil we can access by person dot first name, person dot last name, because it is an object. So what I'll do here, so here we have the person. Now in the td1, instead of first name, what I will write? Person dot first name. Okay, person dot first name we have. Then we will create a td2. This is another td. So td2 dot inner html will be person dot last name. Then td3 will also be another td. So td3 dot inner html is equal to person dot age. Then td4 is another td. Then td4 dot inner html is equal to person dot gender, right? Person dot after age, gender is there. Yeah. Then city. So td5 will also be another td. td5 dot inner html is equal to person dot city. Then td6 is another td. td6 dot inner html is equal to person dot salary. Okay, so we have created the tr, we have created the td. Now we have to put all this td into this t row. So here what I'll write, t row dot append child of td1. So this same thing we have to repeat it. How many times? 6 times. First I'll put the td1, then td2, then td3, then td4, td5, td6. So all these td are put into t row. That is fine. Now we have to put the t row into table. So first row is now added to the table. Okay, now what will happen, that the loop will run again, for each will run again, it will go for the second object. So second object will again be second object, all these things will happen again, one more t row will be created, so another t row will be added to the table. So like this for 6 people. How many people were there? I think 1 2 3 4 5 6. Yeah, for 6 people, 6 t row will be created and all the t row will be added to the table. Okay, by using this line. Okay, now it is added to the table, that is fine, but the whole table should be again added to what it is called d1, right? So this line where we wrote one line, main div dot append child dot table, this line is we can cut it from here and paste it at the end, so that it will move the table to the main div. Okay, so what will happen now? Save it, go to browser, reload. We got all the data. Praveen Gubbala 36 male, Hyderabad 10,000. Srikant Gubbala 32 male, Bengaluru 20,000. Okay, so this way what is happening? First we are creating the table, then we are setting the border, then we are creating the header. In the header we are putting all the heading tags, and then we are pushing all the heading tags to the header. Then we are putting the whole header row to the table. That is initial part. That is to be done for all tables. Then what we are doing, then we are applying for each on the array of objects, and then we are creating each row. Inside each row we are creating each cell. We are pushing all the cells to the row, and we are ultimately pushing the row to the table. So this thing is repeated for each object. So 6 times this is happening. So 6 rows are pushed to the table, and then we are pushing the final table to the main div, and we get something like this. Okay, I hope this is clear. So now we'll move forward to some new topic. that is forms. Okay, how to handle forms in DOM. Okay, so let me create a new file. So DOM forms. So is anything till now discussed about forms? I mean, input elements, how it is handled. Till now, did sir discuss? Hello. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm asking something. Did sir discuss anything about the input elements in DOM?
Not it.
Okay, fine. So here we'll see the forms. Okay. So what are forms? In forms, what kind of elements we have? We have input element, input type equal to text, input type equal to password, input type equal to radio, input type equal to checkbox, all those things. So it's something like this. So input type is equal to text. So how will this look like? It looks like this. Okay. So now my thing is, how do I use these things? Whatever we have done here, we see till now we know only create element, append child, and inner HTML. So how can I apply all those things here? Okay. So let me do something. Here I can apply one ID. ID is equal to input one. Okay. So here in the script, what I can do, I have one where input input is equal to, where input is equal to document dot get element by ID of input one. Okay. So where input equal to document dot get element by input one. Okay. Now here this way I can access the value. That is fine. But let me say when I write something here, and then if I click a button, I want the data to be printed in the console. Whatever I have written, it should be printed on the console. How do I do that? That means how do I read the contents of this input field? Earlier in H1, what is there? How we can check? We can write document.getIn by ID of H1, and then we did dot inner HTML. But here inner HTML will not work. So let me have this input, and then we'll have, so events are discussed or not, on click, all those things. Hello, on click is discussed or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
On click is discussed. So that means using on click you are able to print something in the console, right? Okay.
Not console.
But what have you done using on click? That's what I'm asking.
In image slider.
So what did you do? Okay, previous, next, all those things.
Yeah. We create one function using that.
Okay. So we'll just create just same function like that. Let's say I'm having a button. So forget about the input tag now. Okay, just think about this button. So in the button, what I have written print, and I have written on click is equal to some function. So let's say I have a print function. Okay, so this function I have to declare here, isn't it? So function print, inside the function print, what I'll do, earlier what we were doing, you were running all those things on the array for the image. So here what I'll do, I'll do nothing. I'll not write all those. I'll just write one line, console.log of hello. So what will happen now? When I click on this print button, this on click, this click event will be triggered. This, and immediately what will happen? Print function will be called, and on calling the print function, it will print console. It will do console.log of hello. That means it will print the hello in the console. So let's save this. Go to the browser and check once what is happening. So I'll open the console. Okay. So okay, the button didn't come. I didn't reload it, I guess. Okay. So now the print button is coming. So when I click on print button, it is printing hello. Okay, this way it is printing hello. So that means using this on click, I can do anything. I can print anything or whatever it is. Okay. So now my next challenge is, I know how to print something in the console. That is okay. Now I have to print whatever I write in the input field. Okay. I don't want to write hello. This part I want to remove it, and I have to write something else inside the console.log. What I have to write, I don't know. So the thing is, I have to print the input value. So that input thing, we have already got it in our where input, isn't it? Here we have the get element by id. So if I write here console.log of input dot inner html, this will not work. So if I write here something, if I print, I'm not getting anything. Can you see? So I'm still getting okay. So I'm not reloaded. Okay. So write something and print. I'm not getting anything. See, I'm getting empty, because inner HTML will not work for input fields. For H1, H2, all those elements in, that will work. Okay, so here I have to write, instead of inner HTML, I have to write a value. Okay, input dot value. What is input? Input is document.getElement by id of input one, which is actually the text field. Okay, so save this, go to the browser, reload. Now see, I write here welcome React batch 19. If I print it, I'm getting welcome React batch 19. Can you see? So this way we can get the value of the input field and print it, or we can use that value wherever we want using dot value, not dot inner HTML. Remember, I'm saying it again. You have to use inner HTML for elements which are having text, but this is not having some inner HTML. This is an empty element. So for all input elements, we have to use dot value. Okay. Now I have a small task here. What I want to do is, I don't want this print button. Okay. I don't want this print button. What I want to do is, whenever I write something here, it should be displayed below. Okay. I want to display whatever I write here, it should be displayed below. So I don't have any button. Without the button, just by writing. So if I write T here, T should come. T should be displayed. After T, if I write H, then TH should come. Okay. This way I want to show it below. So what can be done for that? So here we use the click event, but here we can't use the click event because we are not clicking anywhere. We are typing. For mouse events, we use the on click and all those things. But for typing, what can be done? Because we are not clicking, we are typing. So the on click will not work. So for that, we have something called on key up, on key press, on key down, like that. So I'll use on key up thing. See this. What I want to use? On key up. Okay. So whenever I press a button and then I release the button, that is on key up. The key is coming up, isn't it? When I press, key is going down. When I release it, key is coming up. So on key up, it has to identify what is happening. Okay, so this on key up, I have to apply it to the directly to the input field. Okay, on key up is equal to some function, so it will take the print function, let's say. Okay, fine. Now this input is needed, that is fine. So now just see, after the input I have to display it below, right? So where will I display? There should be some text element. That means what I'll do is I'll use one h1 element. Okay, I'll use one h1. So inside the h1 I'll put one id. H1 is okay, heading, something like that, or text. Okay, h1 is text and it is empty initially, but when I print, when I type something, it should come here. If I print t, t should come here. If I print h, th should come. Okay, if I print hello, hello should come to the h1 from the input box. Okay, so now let's see. So we have where input equal to document.getElement by id of input one, and I want where what is it, text is equal to document.getElement by id of text. Okay, I have both the elements. Now I have to work on this on key up thing, and then I have to define this function, what is to be done here. So initially directly I can't print the value, so what is to be done? So when I type, it should give me the value. So first thing is I have to get the value. So how do I get the value? I get the value as, so where input value is equal to input dot value, isn't it? Input is the where input, we have already taken it. So input dot value, I'm storing it in a I'm storing it in a variable. Okay, after that, after storing the variable, I can put it into the text, that is the h1. So text dot inner html is equal to input value. We'll have a lot of issues here, but first see what is happening here, and we'll then discuss how to overcome that issue. Okay, so I save this. So what is this thing doing? It is taking two elements, input and text. First it is taking the input value in we are taking the input value and storing it in one variable, and we are putting that value to text.inner.html. Okay, save this, go to the browser, reload. Now see, I write here h is coming. I write e is also coming. L is also coming. So everything is fine. React batch 19. Okay, so what is happening? When I write r is coming. When I write e, the r is not removed. If I remove everything, see, can you see hello world? When I remove one letter, it is also getting removed. Can you see? This way. So this is working totally fine. Okay, fine. Now what is to be done? This way you can get any kind of value. Let's say you have this input field, and then you have another input field. This is what it is called. Let me take two input fields now. So we have a label element, label, and this is first name and So now I think you have understood the OnCap, so I don't need this. I'll show you some other concept now. So label and input is done. Yeah. So last name. So let's say ID is FN, that means first name, and this ID is LN, last name. Okay, fine. Now, what I want to do is I want to store these values. First, let me print these values. What is happening? Print this in the console. Let me print it in the console, and let's see whether it is working fine or not. Copy and paste. Okay, where FN and where LN. So here FN and LN. Okay, so there will be one button, button, button is there, print, and the button to bind the event. So on click is equal to print. Okay, so what this will do, we have the FN and LN. So print, what it will do, console.log of FN dot value and console.log of LN dot value. Okay, save it, go to the browser, reload. We have this. So first name I'll write hello, last name world, and print it. I got hello world. Okay, so that means it is working totally fine. This is how we can take the value and print it, store it, whatever you want to do. Now listen, now see carefully one thing. These things, these two lines, what I am writing document.getElement by ID of FN first. That's it. I'm not writing anything more. So this thing, I can put it inside the function also. There is no problem. See, it is getting, okay. There is no problem in that. And I can even write document.getElement by ID of FN dot value as well. Here also dot value. So what will happen? Directly the value will be stored in FN. Directly the last name input value will be stored in LN. So here I don't need to write the FN dot value because already the value is stored. So this will work totally fine. Okay, but if you are putting this outside, what happens when we are putting these things outside? And we are, if we put the dot value here, it doesn't work. Why? See this, I write something and I print, I'm getting nothing, because if you see, when I click on this print button, it is calling this print function, and at that point it is trying to print the console.log of FN. What is FN having? See, here we are taking the document.getIn by ID of FN.value. When we are taking the value before clicking the print, we are having empty. So at that point only it is taking the value. So that's why it is getting value as empty. Okay. So that's why whenever you are taking the value, you should take the value only inside the function. That means after filling up the form, not before filling up the form. So that's why we should write it either like this. Okay, this is also good, or you have to write like this. This way, this is the best way. Okay, you do the get element by ID at the top before the function, but the value should be fetched inside the function, not outside. Okay, now Now next thing what I want to do is first name and last name. I am printing. How I am printing? I am just writing it and printing it as single strings. I don't want to print it like this. I want to print it as an object. What do? I have to create an object. I have to create two properties, first name, last name, and then I want to put this value. Okay. So what can be done for that? So we already have the fn and ln values we have. So what I'll do here is I'll create an object where obj is equal to one empty object. Okay. Then or okay, not an empty object. Let me put some values. So first name is empty, and another property I have, that is last name is also empty string. Okay, we have the object, only the object is there. Now what I have to do, I have to write here obj dot first name is equal to fn dot value. Okay, obj dot last name is equal to ln dot value. So what will happen, this fn value will be stored into this object first name property, and it will come here, and ln value will be stored in object last name property here. After that we can do console.log of the object. So console.log of obj. Okay, save this, go to the browser, reload. Now let's see, I write here hello world and print. I got one object, first name is hello, last name is world. Okay, so this way we can store it as an object somewhere. You can store this obj wherever you want. Okay, if you want to use it later on, you can use it later on. That's it. So normally what will happen, whatever forms we fill up in the internet, whether it is Google, whether it is Facebook or anything, any registration form, when we fill up, the data is stored as an object like this. Okay, it is always stored as an object. So they first create this object. They already have an empty object with them, so they just fill up the values with our value, whatever we have given to the input boxes. That's it. But in real time, we don't create forms like this. What do we have? We have the form tag, form element, isn't it? We have the form. See, we don't need this action now. So inside the form element, we have all these things, label and all those things, button, everything we have inside the function. Okay. Now this form, what it is doing, no difference. Whatever we have done till now, that is the same thing it is doing, but it is now enclosed in a form element. That's it. There is no difference. First name is there, last name is there, button is there, which is printing. If you see the layout, it is same, first name, last name, print. And what is this print doing? It is printing the data as an object. Now see what will happen now. Write something, hello and world, and I click on print. What is happening? I'm getting nothing. Why that is happening? If you see once again, when I click on print, something is coming and going. Can you see? It is actually printing, but after printing, it is doing something. Okay, it is doing something because of which it is getting removed. You see, it is flashing. For some time, it is flashing and it is going. Okay, so what is that thing? And it all started when we added this form tag, form element. Before that, it was working totally fine. There was no problem. Why that is happening? So the reason is, when we add the form element, and we have all these things, and we have also have a button. So whenever we click on the button, what does it do? The form element thinks that this is the submit button, because in forms, all forms will have one submit button, isn't it? When we click on register, when we click on submit, when we click on login, these are all submit buttons. Actually, they submit the data to the server. Okay, so this form element will always think that whatever button I have, that is a submit button. So what does it do is, it is submitting the data. Now it is empty. Okay, if I write something also, it is trying to submit it to somewhere. Remember, I ignored the action attribute here. It came in the beginning, but I removed it. So in the action attribute, we put the where we want to send this form data. Okay, sometimes it is going to some ASP file will be there or something like that. So normally so either it will be managed by a PHP file or some ASP file like that. Okay, so this data, now I don't have the action attribute. So what it is doing, it doesn't know where to send, but it is trying to send. And after sending it, what it is doing, it is reloading the page. That means it is doing some default behavior. It is the default behavior of the form. Whenever we click on the button, it will try to send it, and it looks like it reloaded the page. Okay, so that's why what we are getting here is, when I click on print, the data is coming, and then if I reload the page, it is going. Okay, so we have to prevent this default behavior. Okay, so for that we have two ways we can do this. First thing is, why this is happening. I told you that form element is thinking that this is the submit button. So number one is, we can tell the form that this is not a submit button. If we tell the form that this is not a submit button, then it will not do all those things. Okay, it will not create all those problems. So it will not send it. When it knows that this is a submit button, it sends the data. Okay, so let me do something here. I write button type is equal to button. When I don't write anything, this type attribute takes it as button type equal to submit. That's why it was submitting the data. When I don't write anything, that is the default value for type, button type equal to submit. So instead of submit, I write button type equal to button. And if I save this and go to the browser, now let's check whether it is happening or not. See, we are getting it. If I write something, I'm getting it. It is not submitting the data. Okay, this is one way. Another way is, if I don't use this, so let's say I didn't use this, then what can be done? Okay, it is submitting, but we have to stop the default behavior, isn't it? So there is one method called prevent default. Okay, so let's first see one thing. Form, so that submit is also an event, just like click, just like key up, the submit is also an event. So we have, let me write something. On submit is equal to, so let me write console.log of hi. See what will happen. Console.log of hi. If I write like this, when I click on the submit, see the hi is coming and going. The object and hi is coming and flashing and going. Can you see? So that means we are not able to what it is called, prevent the default behavior. Okay, that's why that is happening. Now if we are not able to do anything on submit, then how do we stop it? So that prevent default is actually part of the event object. Okay, on submit event, that inside that event we have a method called prevent default. So even if I write here event, will I get anything? See, this event object is coming and then going. Submit event, can you see? Submit event is flashing there. Okay, So we have that submit event. Inside that submit event, we have something called prevent default method is there. One prevent default method is there. That prevent default method we have to use so that we can stop this behavior. Okay, inside that submit event. So what I can do here is I'll write directly event dot prevent default. Okay, event dot prevent default. Now save this and go to the browser and reload. And if I click on print, I'm getting it. Okay, I'm getting the object. But if you are confused about how this event dot prevent default is working, let me show you. I write another line, console.log of event. Now the console.log of event will work. See this submit event. Inside the submit event, we have a method called default prevented is there, but inside the prototype we'll have one prevent default. Let me show you. Event dot prevent default. See, prevent default function is there. So this prevent default function is part of this submit event. Okay, so we have to use that what it is called prevent default method of the submit event to stop this behavior. Okay, so this console.log is not needed. Whenever you are using any form, what you need to do is you have to on submit, you have to put the event.prevent default. That is the best way. That button type equal to button is also okay, but if you have one more button, again it will work on that thing that button is the suppose you have two buttons, print and cancel. So if you write on click equal, if you write button type equal to button on this one, it will think the other button is submit button. So on every button you have to write type equal to button, type equal to button, type equal to button. Okay, instead of that, what is best to do? Instead of that, we can write on submit equal to event dot prevent default. So this is the best way to stop the form from submitting the data to the server. Okay, and so that we can do our normal task what we are doing. Okay, now what is to be done? Now we will work on other form elements. What are the other input types we have? Input type equal to text, we have input type equal to password, we have then input type equal to radio, checkbox, select is not input type, that is normal select element is there, and then text area, all those things. Okay, we'll try to do all those things. So let me create the input fields now. So I have first name, last name, then let me take one date of birth. So that is known as input type is equal to input type is equal to date. Okay, so this date, what it will do, it will give us something like this. See this, it is giving a date of birth, that means calendar date picker. Okay, here we can pick the date of birth. Okay, now and one more thing, what can be done here is, okay, fine, that is okay, we'll keep it like this. I'll show you what we will do now. So I'll remove these things, I'll not do all these things, I'll do something else. So separate the print button. So dob is done, but before dob I want to put a label. Okay, and in the label, what do I write? 1 second. So this is date of birth, and they are coming all in the same line. So let me put a line break here. After the input, let me put a line break like this, 2 line breaks. Okay, so it will come to the next line like this. Okay, see this how it is looking now. So it is looking like this: first name, last name, DOB. Okay, then what I will have? Then I'll have gender. So label gender. For gender, what do we use? Hello. For gender, which input element I will use? It should be input type what?
Radio button.
Input type equal to radio. Okay. So first input type equal to radio. Let me put here as male. Then same thing is to be reported 3 times. Female and others. Okay. Let me have only up to this. Okay. Okay. So here again, I think I need to put a line break. Let me have only up to here. We know how to handle the first name and last name. Now let's see how to handle the date of birth and gender. Okay. So yeah, fine. Now what I'll do in the script, I have this print. Okay. In the print, I'll have the object, and in that object, I have to fill up this data. So now let's just see. I had the IDs. Okay. Where fn is equal to document dot get element by is it okay now? I think it is okay. Yeah, get element by ID of what it is, fn. Okay, then where ln is equal to document dot get element by ID of ln. Then then the DOB. So DOB can also be accessed by this ID. Okay, let me show you. So in the date, I'm having DOB. So this DOB also, so document, so get element by ID of DOB. Okay, so now let's just store these 3 things into the object, only 3. So where person, so person is the object name, where person is equal to one empty object. Inside this object we have first name. First name will be, let's say it is empty now. You can even write directly fn dot value here. It will also work. That is not a wrong thing. Okay, but for your convenience, I'm putting it as empty, and I'll write it in a separate line. Last name is empty, and then we have the DOB, only DOB. Gender and all I'll see later on. Okay, DOB. Now what do I write here? Person dot first name is equal to fn dot value, but these things will come in the function, right? Where is the function? So function print. So function print, what will happen? Inside the function, I'll have all these things. So initially I'll take one object, and then I'll write person dot first name equal to fn dot value, then person dot last name is equal to ln dot value, then person dot dob is equal to dob dot value. Let's see whether this is working or not. Okay, then I just need to print the object. So right here console.log of person. Save this, go to the browser, reload. So we'll not work on the gender now, just put the first name, hello world, and dob, let me put something like 22nd December and print. So what I'm getting first name, last name, and dob. So all are working fine. So that means this dot value, whatever I am doing, document dot get element by id of fn dot value, fn dot ln dot value, dob dot value, this is all working fine for these three kinds of input fields. Okay, but what will happen when we have a radio button, when we have this gender, will this value work? So let's see that. So when I have something like this, here what was happening in the previous cases, we were having one id for one input field. For this input field also we had this id. Again for the dob also we had the id. But for the radio buttons we have three input fields. So how do you put the id? We can't put one id, right? Because earlier it was only one input field, so one id was there. But here we can't put three ids, and three ids will give us different results, because whatever is selected, only that value should be coming. How do I do that? Okay, so for that we can't use this get element by id thing. Okay, so for that we have to do something else. So what can be done is, in each element we should have a name attribute. Okay, so what I will do is I will remove these ids. So from now onwards, when we have a simple form with input fields, input type equal to text, that is okay. But when we have radio buttons, check boxes, this in get element by id dot value will not work. So for that, the name attribute is necessary, and the name attribute is mandatory for any kind of input field actually. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll show you a different approach. Let me add one name attribute here. Name is equal to fn. Okay, last name also, name is equal to ln. dob, name is equal to dob. Okay, input type equal to radio. Here name is equal to gender. So these three fields will have the same name. Name equal to gender, name equal to gender, name equal to gender. Okay, now, but how do we access these names? We can't access it directly. And so for that, what we need is, we need to have a name attribute for the form as well. So form name is equal to, let's say this is user form. Okay, now what we can do is, let me comment all these things, not this, only the function part. And when I click on the print, let me print something like console.log of document dot. So inside the document, when we create a form with this name attribute, this user form is actually accessible inside the document dot user form. First, see what happens here. Do we need to change the code or what? So When I click on the print, it is giving me the form element. Can you see it is able to get it? Form on submit equal to event dot prevent default name equal to user form. Whole form is coming. That means it is working fine. But from here I can't access this first name, last name, and all those things. Okay. So if I do console.dir of document.user form, I'll get something like this. One form. Inside this form, lot of things are there. So form of 0 will give you first input, that is IDFN. Form of 1 will give you last name. Form of 2 will give you DOB. Form of 3 will give you this radio buttons. Okay. But inside this radio button, you can't access what is what it is called, male, female, and all those things. You can't access all those things. Fourth is what? Fourth will be, I think. So 3, 4, 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means. So these three are for the three radio buttons. And this is lastly the button. Okay. This is how it is showing us. Okay. Fine. Now, what can be done is here inside this, let me show you. Yeah. Print, when I do this, it is not showing anything. I mean, the input fields are not being shown. That means I can't access form.fn. It is showing user form, but fn, ln, dob, gender is also present, but it is not showing me here. It doesn't show up here, but you can do something like this. Console.dir of document.userform.fn. If you write, what it will do, it will give me input fn. Can you see it is giving me the input fn? Which one it is giving? It is giving this one. And what is this fn? This fn is not this id. This is the name attribute value. Okay, remember that. So even if I remove this id, it will work. Why? Because that is not the id. It is coming from the name attribute. Okay, so this way you can remove this last name id also, dob id also. Okay, but how do we access the value? Okay, we got the element, but let's see what is there. So what am I printing? I am printing console.dir of document.userform.fn. Okay, so when I print the fn, that means this is first name input value, input field. Whole field is coming. Inside this field, we have, do we have the value attribute, value property? Yes, we have the value property. It is empty now. Okay, so let me write something and then try. So I write here hello world. Okay, when I click on print, I'm getting in the value property. What am I getting? Just see, in the value property I'm getting hello world. Can you see? So this way we can access the value of the input field. So instead of using the id, instead of using get element by id, in real time what we will do, we will use the name attribute value. That means name, using the name attribute will access the input element, and then if you put dot value, you will get the value. So now just see document. So I'll write console.log of document.userform.fn.value. Okay, like this you can write all the things. Document.username.ln.value. Okay, just let me print the first name and last name. So I write here hello, I write here world, and I click on print. I got hello world. Okay, so this way you can get the gender as well. So now let us move forward to the thing, date of birth. Okay, so I'll have one more dob and the gender. Okay, save this, go to the browser, reload. Now let's see. First name is hello, last name is world, then date of birth is, let's say, 25th December, and gender I select male. and print. So I got all the, so what I'm getting here, I'm getting here on. Can you see in the gender? Why am I getting on? So that is some error. So for that, what we have to do is here in the name, along with the name, I should have a value attribute. In the other input fields, what was happening, the value was automatically, it was getting it because we are entering some data. But in the radio buttons, we are not entering any data. There is no text. This text is different. This is just random text we are writing here. JavaScript doesn't know what this text is. Okay, so you have to have one value attribute, value equal to male, value equal to female, and value equal to others. Okay, save it, go to the browser, reload. Now see, hello world, let's say some 26th December 2022, mail, and print. I got hello world, the date 26th December, and mail. Okay, so this way you can get the data, and you, so the now the challenge is we have to put all this data into an object, and then we have to print the object, because that is the correct way. But before that, let me show you one thing. What happens when you don't put all these name things in the what it is called, if you don't put the name attribute in the radio buttons, first thing is we can't access the value. But before that, one more problem is there. If you don't put the name attribute, just see, if I click on male, it is selecting male. When I click on female, it is selecting female also. When I click on others, it is also selecting others. Okay, so that means the radio button will never work properly if you don't put the name attribute. If you don't put the name attribute, the radio button will not work properly, and as well you can't get the value. So the name attribute is a must, it is mandatory. So whatever forms you create, always put the name attribute for each input value, whether it is input type equal to text, whether it is input type equal to date, whether it is input type equal to radio, or whether it is input type equal to checkbox. Okay, whatever it is, you should have the name attribute. Okay, fine. Now let us put it in the object. So let us go back to our thing. So here, along with where dob, okay, so these things are not needed now. Document.getElement by id, we don't need it. We need only one thing. What is that thing? Where user form is equal to document dot user form. Okay, what did I write here? Document.userForm.fn.value, isn't it? So we will put the document.userForm part here in the beginning, and fn.value, ln.value, dob.value, gender.value, we'll do it here. Okay, so that is the plan. Okay, so we need only one line. We don't need all the get element by id and all those things. Okay, so now inside the function print, what I'll do, I have first name, last name, dob, as well as the gender, gender, gender. So gender is also empty initially, because that is also, that will also be a string, because here we are putting string, so it will come here. So person dot first name will be equal to what? Person dot first name is user form dot what? Fn, or first name, what is it? Fn, whatever we are writing it here. So user form dot fn dot value. Okay, then user form dot ln dot value, that will be last name for this object. Then person dot dob is equal to user form dot dob dot value. Then we have the person dot gender. Person dot gender is equal to user form dot gender dot value. Okay, this way all the values can be accessed, and then we can print the person object console.log of person. Now let's check this. Hello world. So we can change the year as well. So let's go back to 2020 July, and let's say 31st June, and I put it as mail print. So I got, oh, I didn't reload the page or what? Yeah, maybe. Okay, fine. So hello world, I'll change this July 31st mail print. So I got one object, first name, last name, gender, and dob. So all are working totally fine. Gender mail, mail is coming totally fine. Now let's try to do the same with checkboxes. What happens with checkbox? In checkbox we have more issues. It is not simple issue like gender. In gender, what was happening, only one value was to be selected, but we didn't know how to select it, but we have known now. But in checkbox, what happens? See, where do we need checkboxes? Let me put, so something like, what are the languages I know? Suppose first name, last name, dob, gender, and languages. Okay, languages is a property here. So languages here, I can't put it in as a string, because if I have if I know 2 3 languages, then those things should not be put in one string. So what are primitive data types? In primitive data types, we save only one value. When we need more than, when we want to store more than one value, what do we use? Which data type we use? Hello, when we want to store more than one value, what kind of data types do we use? Can you tell me? Hello.
Array.
Yes, in arrays and objects we can store more than one value. Okay, so what we'll do is, so we'll not go with object will be more complex, so we'll go with an array. Okay, so this language is in an empty array initially. Okay, so if I know only one language, suppose I know only English, so I'll put here English. Suppose I know Hindi as well, so then after the comma I have to put Hindi. So like this, I'll keep on pushing values to this array. Okay, whatever language I know, I'll push that language to this array. Okay, fine. Now let me add one what it is called, some checkboxes. Okay, so I'll put one label first. Label is languages. Okay, after the label I have to put the inputs. So input type equal to checkbox. So here I'll write some text. So what text? Again, some name will be there, isn't it? Name is must. So name is equal to what? Languages, and some value. Also the value attribute should also be there. Value is equal to English, and the text should be shown. This is just for the user. Okay, same thing, I'll repeat it. So English, Hindi, and Telugu. Okay, so Input type equal to checkbox. Languages are these things, and I'll put a BR as well. Okay, reload it, and we have this. Everything is fine. Input type equal to checkbox. Name equal to language. Value equal to English. Okay, fine. Now let us see what will happen if we use our old approach, whatever we did. If we try to we'll try to print the checkbox value. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll comment this functionality, and I'll just print console.log of what user form, console.log of user form dot, what is the name is languages, user form dot languages dot value. Just see what will happen. Save this, go to the browser and reload. Okay, I click English and I print, I get nothing. When I click English, Hindi and Telugu, I click print, I get 2, but it is coming nothing. See this, I click all languages, I click print, I get nothing. So that means it is not getting stored there. That means it is not present in the value. So that means we can't use the value. In value we don't have it. Okay, so let me print first console.log of username.languages. What we get? We'll get the elements. We're getting one radio node list. Can you see? It is something like an array. Input, 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 and value is empty. We are getting something like that. Okay, let me write here console.dir. Okay, you are getting something like this: input, 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 and value is empty. It looks like an array, isn't it? But it is not an array. It is known as a radio node list. Okay, but in each, so 0 means first one. In the 0 we have something called checked. See, checked is false. In the 1 also we'll have one checked value which is false. Okay, then in the 2 also there will be one checked value which is false. Now let me reload the page and I select English and I print. Now also I'm getting the same things, but what is English? English is in the 0, right? 0, if you open and see, it is saying checked is true because it is checked now. If you check the other ones, one means Hindi, in 1 the checked is false. In the same way for Telugu also the checked is false. Okay, so this way it is telling us which languages are selected and which languages are not selected. Okay, now we have to get which values are selected. How do we get that? Because we may have 10 elements also, that means 10 checkboxes also. How do I go to each and every one and check? So we have to apply some looping. Okay, but before directly applying some for loop or something, we have to know any methods are there. So if you see here, inside this we have a for each method here. Can you see for each? It supports for each. This radio node list supports for each. So that means we can apply for each and then we can check for the checked value, it is true or false. Okay, so now just see what I'll do. What I'll do is, so here I can check like this also. Console.log of username.languages of 0 dot checked. Okay, if I do like this, what I will get? Just see. If I click English and print, I get true. If I put 1 dot checked, what will happen? If I select Telugu, 1 is still not selected. So if I print, it is giving me false. Okay, so this way languages of 0, languages of 1, languages of 2, languages of 3 will give you all the values. Okay, so Now what I'll do is I'll apply that for each. Okay, so what is that thing? That thing is username dot languages. So we have to apply the for each on user form dot languages, user form dot languages dot for each. So inside the for each I'll have the callback function, and each element is, let's say, language. Okay, I'm just giving a name, language. Okay, so for each console.log of language dot checked. Okay, so it will give us all the values now. See, English and Telugu I selected. I print, I'm getting true, false, true. Can you see? True means English, false means Hindi, Telugu means that. So let me write here language dot value comma language dot checked. Now it will give us two things. First thing is what is the language and it is checked or not. So just save it, go to the browser, reload. Now see, I select nothing. Okay, if I click on print, I'm saying I'm getting English false, Hindi false, Telugu false. Okay, now if I click only Hindi and print, I'm getting English false, Hindi true, Telugu false. Okay, so if I select everything, I'm getting English true, Hindi true, Telugu true. Okay, if I click English and Telugu, I get English true, Hindi false, Telugu true. So this way we can get all the true false values. Okay, now what I have to do is, if which values are true, only those values I have to store it in this language in our object. Okay, whatever is false I don't want to store it, because if I don't know Hindi, then that should not be stored here. No, it will store only those languages that I know. So here we can write an if condition inside the for each. We have already done, right, filtering of data. So those things we have to use those methods now, whatever we have learned till now. In using that if condition, you have to put that value into, if the condition is satisfied, only then push it to the language array, otherwise don't push. Okay, now let me do that. So how do I do that? So I'll uncomment this part, and inside this user form dot languages, so console.log, it will come at the end, isn't it? We'll print it at the end. Okay, fine. So so person dot first name, last name, date of birth and gender is okay, but for the languages what we will do is user form dot languages dot for each. Just 1 second, let me remove these extra lines. Now inside this for each, what we will do is, if language dot checked, if language dot checked equal to true, only then push. Where we will push, we have to push it to languages array. So that array is person dot languages, person dot languages dot push. What I have to push? The language dot value, language dot value, because that is a string. Language dot value is a string. Language is an object. It is not an object. It is an object. So you can't push the language. We'll push the language dot value. It is a string. So what will happen if I select English and Hindi? English and Hindi will be pushed to language array, and if you print the person, you'll get it. Now check this. Save it. Go to the browser. Reload. Now let me put properly. Hello world. Date of birth, let me select 2nd December. Mail, I put English and Hindi, and print. So now see what I will get. First name hello, last name world, date of birth, gender, everything is fine. And language is an array which is having English comma Hindi. Can you see? If I select English and Telugu and I print, I am getting English and Telugu. I am not getting the Hindi. If I select Hindi and Telugu and print, I am getting Hindi and Telugu. If I don't select anything, I'll get empty array. If I select everything, I'll get everything here. English, Hindi, Telugu. Okay. So this is how we handle input boxes, then date boxes, then we have radio buttons, then we have check boxes. Okay. Now the same thing you can do with, okay, that filter method will not work here, sorry, because languages is a radio node list. Okay, it is not, see, it is checkbox, even then they say that it is radio node list, but you have to accept it, that's how they have named it. Okay, this radio node list don't, they are not arrays, so they don't support array methods like map, filter, reduce, they don't allow. But for each they allow, because this for each is not an array method here, it is not behaving like an array method here, it is behaving like a radio node list method. Okay, radio node list, you can say that it is a different data type, you can say like that. Okay, so you have to use always for each, whatever filtering and all those things, whatever you want to do, you have to use for each only. Okay, fine. Now let's see some more data types like select boxes and then text area. Let's do that. Okay, so let me put one select here. So we have select, sorry, select. So name is mandatory, so in name what I'll put, so what do we want to select here? Let's say I will select the course. Okay, I want to go for Angular or React. Okay, any one I have to choose, so I'll use that. So name is course and the ID is not needed. Now inside the select I'll have options. Option value is Angular for the first one, so I'll write here Angular. And then one more value will be React JS, and I'll write here React JS. Okay, select name is there, value is there, so name and value, if it is there, that is enough. Okay, you don't need anything more than that. See here, in other things we were writing name and value in the same element, but in select boxes, in the parent select element, we have the name and value is in the option. Okay, okay, fine. Now let's try to let's see how this is looking like. It looks like this: Angular, React, anyone you have to select. Okay, so after the select also I'll put a BR. Okay, and we need to have a label, right? So I'll put a label here. Label is select the course, something like that. Select the course. Huh. Now it is looking fine. Now let us try to print that thing. Is it able to print the value or not? So all these things I'll comment. Console.log of what was that? User form dot what? Name is course. So course dot value. Okay, is it able to print the value or not? Let's see. So I select Angular and print, it is printing Angular. If I select React.js, it is printing React.js. So it is able to print the value. Okay, so that means there is no issue, we can directly put it, we don't need to handle all these things like a radio button and all those things. So when this value is working, that means it will, there is no problem. So so after person dot first name is done, last name is done, DOB is done, gender is done, language is also done. Now we have to go for the person dot we have to add it here first. So course, which course you want to add? So course is also only one value will be stored, so it is empty string. That is not more than one value. In select you will use only one value. So person dot course is equal to user form dot what? User form dot course dot value. Okay, and here you can print the person. So whatever you write like this, randomly I'm writing something. So I'm getting first name, last name, everything, and the course is React.js. Okay, everything is fine. Now I will go for text area. So what is the text area? Let's say, so for text area, what kind of input I will take? That means we have taken first name, last name, date of birth, age. Then age we didn't take, but it's fine. We took course, we took languages. So in text area we write long things. So we can take the address or something. We can take the address of the user, isn't it? So after the select, I'll have one label. What is this? Address. Okay. After that, I'll have the text area. So text area, what is happening here? It is having some, I'll remove the ID. ID is not needed. Name is mandatory, right? So name, what I'll write, name is address. Okay. And we don't need the value here. Why? Because see, value is not needed for those fields where data is there. Like in the input type equal to text, we write the data on our own. So that value will automatically get it from the text. But in radio button and checkbox, we don't enter some text. So that's why it is not having value. So we need to put the value like this. Okay. In the select box also, we don't enter any text. So we need to put the value attribute. But for text area, we don't need the value attribute. Okay. It will automatically take the input, whatever we are typing, it will take it as value. Okay. So this is also similar to the other input fields. So just I can put here like this. After the course, one address, address, empty string, and person dot address is equal to user form dot address dot value. Okay, that is enough. So now save this, go to the browser, reload. Okay, we are getting one text area, and I can put one BR here as well. Okay, now just check, see. Where right here, hello world, 9 December, mail, English, Hindi, Angular, and I write here 6th floor, JSP, Imperia, High Tech City, Madhapur, Hyderabad. Okay, and print. So what did I get here? First name, last name. You can see the address is coming like this: 6th floor, JSP, Imperial, High Tech City, Madhapur, Hyderabad. Course is coming as Angular. DOB is coming as date, first name, gender, languages, English, Hindi, and last name word. Okay. So this is how what we can do is we can handle forms. So we have almost covered most of the input types. Okay. There are some other input types also which we use very rarely, but they are not that complex. Dot value will work directly in those things. Let's say we have input type equal to color, or input type equal to tel, that is TEL, that is for telephone number. Input type equal to number is also there. So these are all taking dot value. So for them, this thing is enough. Okay, this syntax is enough. There is only for gender, that is radio button and checkbox, you need to do like this. Okay, but other things totally same. Actually, radio button is also taking dot value. There is no issue in radio button, but you have to put the name and the value. That is the main thing you have to do in radio buttons. That's it. Okay, but for check boxes, the approach is little bit different. We have to put it in an array like this. This is the complexity we have for checkbox, but other things are just dot value, dot value, dot. Okay, so this is how this can be done. Now, what is your assignment? Your assignment is to, what you have to do, you have to take the value from here and you have to push this data into a table. Okay, we have already seen first name, last name, salary and all those things. From this data, from this object, we were able to create the table. Now your work is, what you have to do is, you have to take this data. First you have to push this data into an array. Okay, then that whole array, that array will have a lot of other things. Okay, we'll see that, don't worry, let's see that now. Okay, let us see that now, and then we will give some other assignments. Okay, okay, now the challenge will be to take a form like this. We'll have, so we'll use this same form. Okay, we'll use this same form, and what we'll do is, we have to store this data. First time I put one, so now don't think about the table and all, don't get confused. Okay, forget about the table, we'll think about that later on. Now our challenge is, I wrote this data, I have this object, but when I reload the page, when I enter another person here, what is happening? It is again having only one object. The previous user has gone. So my challenge now is to store each object in an array. When I click on print, it should store it in an array. Okay, that array should contain all the users, not only one user. Okay, so let me do that. How do I do that? So we have this object console.log of person. So this person is one object. Okay, so what we have to do is, we have to have one empty array, separate empty array. In that array we will push the objects. Okay, so in the script, let me take one array. Before the user form, I'll have where people is an empty array. Okay, in this people, we have to push each object. What is each object? Each object is person. We have already printed this as person console.log of person. Okay, so instead of printing it, what do? I'll do people dot push of what? Person. Person is the object. Okay, now just see what will happen. Reload. Now let me put first name is Praveen, last name is Gubbala, date of birth is 9 December, male, English, Hindi, Telugu, Angular, address is, let's say, Manikonda, and print. So print is not doing anything. It is actually having the, it is actually pushing the person to people. So instead here, what I can do, console.log of people. I can do like this. Okay. Now see what will happen. Praveen Gubbala, date of birth is something, Angular. See, if you reload the page, everything will be gone. That is no, unavoidable. That is different. For that, you have to do something else. We are not thinking about that now. Okay. Print. I got one object inside the array. What is this object? This Praveen Gubbala object. Now, let me fill up this with another one. Srikant Gubbala, 8, English, Telugu, React Bengaluru print. Now we are getting two objects. One is Praveen Gubbala, second one is Srikanth Gubbala. So both objects are stored. Okay, this is one object, this is one object. So this way you can store the objects in the array. Okay, after storing it, you can do whatever you want. After storing it, you have to display it as a table. Okay, after storing it, you have to display it as a table, because if you have the array of objects, we have already seen how to use the array of objects to create a table, isn't it? So I think you should be able to do it. So let me do that fast, not to waste much time. And one more thing, after you click on print, these things are still remaining on the form, isn't it? Because I have to remove this thing and then I have to write some other name, isn't it? I want the form to be empty after I click on print. Okay, what do I do for that? So for that we have a method called, so what is the form name? Form name is user form. Okay, console.log of people. So after pushing the data to the array, what we can do is we can do or even after the printing also we can do, that is user form. User form we already have it, right? Where user form equal to document user. So user form dot reset is a method. Okay, if you put this method, what will happen? Just see now. So I'll write here Praveen Gubbala 1st December, male, English, Hindi, Telugu, Manikonda, and print. See, the data came here, and after that the form is reset. Okay, so that you can enter the next person like this without any problem. You don't need to you keep on pressing backspace and remove all those things and again type. Okay, we don't need to do all those things. Okay, so now both the objects have come and the form is also reset. So this is how you have to use the reset method to do that. Okay, so this is how you can add the things. Okay, now the thing is the form is added, that means the array of object is created, isn't it? Now immediately after the array of object is created, immediately we have to create a table as well. Okay, where is the array of object? It is in people. That means the same people what I used here, right? Same name I'm using it here. That is not a problem. So after resetting it, immediately we have to create the table also, not only this thing. Okay, so if you were so you have to write whatever function for creating the table. So from here to here, whole thing you have to copy and paste it here. But if you think that no, the code is looking very clumsy, you can create another function actually. So function create table is another function. Inside this function, what I'll do is I'll put all this data, this whole functionality. So where did it start? It started from here and ended here. So I'll copy this, paste it here. Okay, this is another function. What is the function name? Create table. We'll call the create table function here. Okay, but before that we need to have all these things. Where is this where main div? We don't have all these things, isn't it? So we'll create all these things. Now where the table will come? After the print button. Okay, below the print button the table will be there. So what we did here in the previous case, we had is div d1. So I'll copy this div d1 and paste it after the print button. Okay, so after the print button I'm pasting the div d1. Now the moment the div d1 is there, then this whole code will work. See, div d1 means where main div equal to document.get element by id of d1, where table equal to document.create element of table. Okay, and this create table method will never be inside the loop. Okay, any loop will, if you put it inside loop, any kind of other loops, then what will happen, this thing will be repeated. We don't want to repeat this thing. We'll repeat only this part, people dot for each part. Okay, because initial part is only for the heading. Now we have to change the heading as well. So now see what are the headings we'll use. So what are the headings we need? First name, last name, DOB, gender, languages, course, and address. Okay, so let me put those things. So border is okay, fine. First name is there, last name is there, then DOB, date of birth, or I can write it short, that is better. Table will be big otherwise. Date of birth, gender, then instead of city I will like languages. So languages will be an array, so array can be printed directly, no problem. If you print object, then you get errors, but if you print array, you will never get error. It will be printed as a string only. Okay, then after languages we have course. Then we have to create more. After course we have address as well, so I'll put another one, where th7. What is this? This is address, or I can put it as city. I think city will be better. Okay, leave it. Address, let it be address. We have text area, na? So let it be address. Okay, now address is there. Then T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, T6, and T7, TH7. Okay, so here also TH7, where TH7 equal to this. Table dot append child of T head. Up to here everything is fine. Now people dot for it. What is people? People is this array. But if you create it as a separate function, you have to pass the people array here. Okay, so I'll put it here, array. Okay, while calling the function, I have to pass the people array to create table. For how I will call, I will create like this, create table of people, because people array is here, it is not here. Okay, people array is, okay, it is outside, but you should write like this. Okay, you can write here directly people, that is not a problem, but instead of that you should write array, because to this function array is passed, isn't it, as a parameter. So this array only you will apply, array dot for each. We have already done this, isn't it? We have done sort array. So sort array of array, we pass it as a parameter, and then we'll apply the sort and for each and filter whatever you want. Okay, okay, fine. Here people is the main array. Now this console.log of people is also not needed, remove it. Okay, fine. So create table function here. What are the next changes we need? So array dot for is td1, td2, td3. Okay, now see, now what is the object having? Our object is having first name, last name, dob, gender. So first name, last name, dob, then gender, then after gender we have languages, course, and address. Languages, course, and address. One more field we need, td7, course and address. Okay, so td6 along with that td7 should also be appended. Now after that table dot append child of t row, main div. What is main div? Main div is this, main div equal to document dot get by id of d1.
Change TD7
okay,
in inner HTML.
td7. Okay, so td7 is also done. So t1 to td7. So I hope everything is fine now. So what will happen now? Now there is a thing. Just see what will happen now. So I'll reload it and just see what problems are we having. Any problem? Gubbala, then 1st December, mail, English, Telugu, Angular, address is Manikonda. Okay, print. So I'm getting Praveen Gubbala, date of birth, gender, language, course, and address. That is totally fine. Okay, now let me add another person and let's see what happens. So first name Srikant. If there is a no problem, then it is okay. If there is any problem, then we have to solve that. What is that problem? Gubbala, date of birth is 16, let's say, male, English and Hindi, React.js, Bangalore. Print. See what happened? What happened? So every time I click on print, what is happening? This whole part is repeating. Okay, it is not only doing the create table part, it is doing all these things. Okay, so we have to avoid that somehow. This part is okay, this part is not wrong. This part we have to put it outside the loop. Otherwise what will happen? It will create this again and again. Okay, so what we can do is from here to here. Okay, from here to here we can cut it out and paste it just before the thing, what it is called, before the print. Okay, this way what will happen? It will not execute it again and again. The table will always be there. Now what will happen? See, if you reload it, okay, the table is not there. Function print, when I click on function print, it will create the object and the person dot first name, it will fill up all these things, and then after printing it will create the table. So create table functionality will be called. After calling the functionality, what will happen? It will directly apply the for each. So already we have the table some part, so it will create directly T row, TD1, TD2, TD3, TD4, TD5, TD6. So it will take it from the object, because here person is the object. It will put it and it will do all those things. Okay, fine. And this should be inside the main div dot append child of table. Okay. Okay, and we didn't put it inside the table dot append child of t head. We did that, but we didn't put. Okay, fine. Now just see what happens. Now we have to see what is happening. Do we have more problems or not? Male, English, Manikonda, print. This is fine. We can't. So I'll just not put everything. I'll just write some things like this. So now see. Now what is happening? Now that header is not coming, but Praveen Gubbala is coming again. Why do you know? Because the table was, the array is working totally fine. In the array, first Praveen was there, then we pushed Srikant. That is totally fine. But in the table, Praveen was already there. And after that, when we entered the Srikant, it took the Srikant and pushed it to the main array. Main array now contains Praveen and Srikant. Now from the Praveen and Srikant, again it is creating the table. So already Praveen is there and it is taking. So let me show you here. Just see this, what is happening here, if you are getting confused. So let me tell you how the array looks like. Initially the array is this. Okay, I put, initially it is empty. I put Praveen here. Praveen object is coming here. Okay, after that it created the table. So how does the table look like? this is the table. Okay. This is the table. Okay. So Praveen has come here. So only Praveen has come here. Okay. Now, next time when I added Srikant, the array, in the array Srikant is pushed, isn't it? So in the array, this is the array. So here one more value has come, that is Srikant. So this is the Srikant object. Okay, fine. But what is happening to the table? We are creating the table from this whole what it is called, from this whole array, isn't it? So what is happening? We now have Praveen and Srikant. So from this Praveen and Srikant, we will again create the table. So what will happen? One more Praveen and Srikant will be added. Earlier only Praveen was there, so Praveen was added. Now Praveen and Srikant both are there, so both will be added again. So if both are added, then what you will get? You will get one Praveen here, one Srikant below this, one Srikant will come here. Okay, so that's why we are getting 2 times Praveen and then Srikant. Now if you add one more person, what will happen? Hello, now I want to check your whatever you have understood till now. So now I add another person. Okay, I add another person, that is, let's say I add one person called Ramesh. Now what will happen to the table? You will create the in the table, what will come? Now tell me.
Praveen 3 times, Srikant 2 times.
No. I want the order. Now here it is Praveen, Srikant. Now after adding Ramesh, what will be here?
Praveen, Srikant, Ramesh.
How Praveen will come again between? We are creating the table from this array. So whole these 3 things will come below. Are you getting it? So I am creating the table from this array. So first time I wrote only Praveen, so Praveen came. Then I wrote Praveen and Srikant, so Praveen and Srikant came. Now Praveen, Srikant and Ramesh is there, so Praveen, Srikant and Ramesh will come. Are you getting it? Again here Praveen, Srikant and Ramesh will come. Are you getting it? First time
Yes.
Praveen, second time Praveen, Srikant, third time Praveen, Srikant, Ramesh, like that. Just see what is happening. So Praveen and Srikant has come. Now let me add Ramesh as well. What will happen? Praveen, Srikant, Ramesh is added below. Okay. So to avoid this thing, what we can do is, I'll just tell you what is to be done here. So after adding Praveen is stored. That is fine. After Praveen, I'll be adding Srikant here, isn't it? So when I add this Srikant, what I need to do is, it is added to the array. That is fine. That is totally correct. That is not wrong. But while adding it to the table, what I have to do is, I have to empty this whole table. I have to empty this whole table. Okay. I'll empty this table first, and then I will apply this for each. That means I'll apply this creation of the table. So if I empty it, what will happen? What are the values I'll have in this table? Hello? From the array, if I create this table, now what are the values I will have?
Praveen, Srikant.
So I'll have Praveen and Srikant. Okay. Now, next time I added Ramesh. So this time I added one more person called Ramesh. So what will happen here? Ramesh. Now also again what I will do, first I will remove everything. First, I will remove everything. First, I'll empty this table. Okay. Initially, I should always empty the table. Then you create the table from these things. So what are the things I'll have in this table?
Praveen, Srikant, Ramesh.
Praveen, Srikant, Ramesh. So there will not be any duplicates. So now what will happen? According to the array, it will create Praveen, Srikant, and Ramesh. Okay. Now let's do that. So just while clicking on the print, initially only in the beginning itself, you can empty the table. There is no problem. Okay. Or while just before doing the for each also, you can do it. That is not a problem. So just before doing the for each, what you can do is, what is that? What is the table? Table is where table equal to document dot create element of table. Oh, if I empty the whole table again, there is a problem, because if I empty the whole table, these things will go. Headers will go. Headers will also go. Okay. So what can be done? So that means headers should be created every time, but so let me show you what is to be done here. Create element of tr. So if I do here, what is the table element? See here, table, where table equal to document dot create element of table. So if I do here, table dot inner html equal to empty. If I do directly like this, what will happen? The headers will even also go. Just check. Did I save it? Yes, saved it. Reload. Now see, you need to know these problems, otherwise you will always face these things. So last name Gubbala. So if I add this, the other data were not there, so it is not coming. So it is emptying the table. So when it's emptying the table, the headers are not coming. Okay. So what can be done? So create element. Create element of table is okay. So table, let it be there where t head from here onwards to here. T head, yeah. I'll cut it. I'll paste it after the. Okay. So every time it will empty the table and then it will create the header. Okay. After creating the header, headers are completed, then it will go for the for each. Okay. So see here, what is the process that is happening? Initially, we have one empty array. Okay. Then user form is there, main div is there, main div is d1. Then table is created in the beginning. Only the table is created, no header and all. Okay. Only up to here it is executed before clicking the button. Before clicking the button, we have a table, and that table is having a border equal to 1. That's it. Nothing else is there. Then we click on, then we fill up the form, and then we click on print button. The moment we click on print button, object is created. Object is having all the data that we have given to it, and immediately create table function is called. When we click on the create table function is called, immediately the table is made empty first. Then table was already empty for the first time, it is making it again empty. That is okay. Then it is creating the row, column, and all those things. Header is created first. Then after header is created, after appending the header, it is doing the for each, and then it is creating more TRs. TRTD again it is creating for each element. TRTD is done, then it is appending the table. Now next time when I apply another person, what will happen? It will empty the table again. After emptying the table, it will again create the header. So header will not be deleted. Okay. After emptying, header will be created, and then the normal for each will work. So this time everything will work fine. Now let's see. Praveen Gupala, date of birth is 1st December, male, Hindi, Angular, Manikonda, print. This is done. Then I come for Srikant Gupala, date of birth 8, let's say, male, English, React, Bangalore, print. Done. Then next time Ramesh, say Reddy, 2nd December, male, Hindi, Telugu, Angular, let's say Nalgonda, print. Okay, so this is how this needs to be done. Okay, so what we are doing here, first thing is, you know how to handle the form, that is done. Then what we are doing for the table, remember the process. First we are taking the first we are creating the table. Okay, then after creating the table, we are creating the table at the beginning itself. That is not a problem. Okay, we are creating the table in the beginning itself. If you create the table inside this, what will happen? You can't access this table.inner.html. You can't make it empty. It will say it is undefined. So that's why I'm creating the table outside so that I can access it inside. Okay, I'm creating the table and setting the border. And while after clicking the print button, what I'm doing, I'm making it empty. I'm creating the row, and then I'm doing all these things. Okay, so if you keep this row and columns outside, creating sorry, not row, this header part, if you keep it outside, that is totally fine. That is not problem, that is not wrong. But when you make it empty, the row the header will also get deleted. That's why after deleting everything, I am creating it again so that the it will remain there. I'm not writing any duplicate code. This code I'm not writing 2 times. I'm writing only 1 time only. That is while creating the table. That's it. Okay. And after that, we have already seen how to do this array.forEach and create the other rows. And at last, you have to do this main div.append child, and this should not be what it is called inside any loop. Okay, this is always outside the loop. Otherwise, it will append the child 2-3 times. So you will get 3-4 tables there. So this should be outside the for loop for each. Okay, should be inside the function but outside the for. Okay, that's it. And anything else? Okay, that's fine. That's it. That's it for today. I hope you got it. Now, what is your task? You have to implement this, and yeah, you do this one. What is it? We had array of objects. This was the array of object, right? So you create one form according to this. Okay, here what are the fields I have? I have first name, last name, DOB, gender, language, and select the course address. So you create a form using this thing. Okay, another form we had, another array of object we had. Yeah, according to this also you can create one form and do that. Okay, so different kinds of form you can create, and according to the form you can create the table. Okay, okay, then that's it for today.
Hello.
1 second.